What's going on, guys? It's the Bigs Podcast, and this is episode number 5. And for whatever reason, we're going to talk about second base today because it's our show and we can do whatever the hell we want. We're going to talk about how we see early rankings for the 2022 fantasy season at the keystone position of second base. With me this week, he's the only Yankee fan that'll ever appear on this show, and he's house sitting inside of a room made for little girls. Mike Haber. Mike, how you doing?
I think that may be my favorite intro you've ever given me. Thank you so much, Joe. I'm thrilled to be here in my pink room talking baseball with you guys. And I said it before we got on the show, but we just love baseball so much. We're itching to talk about this, like literally 4 or 5 days after the World Series ended. But
right, yeah, the series just ended, and here we are just covering second base because, hey, we're available. Let's do a show. With us as well from Colorado in the hall of what looks like a lot of memorabilia, Jason Ashby. Jason, how are you this evening?
Joe, I'm doing well. Yes, I'm hanging out with all my Mets gear, and yeah, the season just ended, but I'm ready for 2022. But let's go.
Let's go ahead and draft. Like let's just do this all over again. I am super excited here. So what we've done is these two guys and myself have made a list of 25 second basemen, ranked them in order in which they believe that they would draft them, and I did the same. I added all of their totals up together, and we have an aggregate of where we think altogether these guys are going to go. Let's just kick this thing off. It's no surprise. Number one across the board from all three of us is Trey Turner, who, when 2021 started, I don't think any of us had any kind of pipe dream that this guy was going to have second base eligibility this coming year. And here he is, and he had an absolutely career year. Mike Haber, tell me about Trey Turner. Why is he number one for you?
I mean, you got to love the multi-position eligibility. You got to love that this guy is a rare breed and that he hits for average, which is just doesn't happen much anymore. He's going to be hitting in the top or the middle of that Dodgers lineup. He second and shortstop eligible. He hits for power. He steals bases. Like, what else could you say about this guy at this point?
Jason, what else can you say about this guy?
Not much else. I mean, he doesn't strike out a lot. He a few errors. Maybe he's a sloppy defender, but that's a ding. Like yeah. There's nothing you can say about this guy that takes him out of the top ranking for me.
Yeah. Now, 28 homers, 77 RBIs, 107 runs scored this past year with 32 steals. I mean, this was in just about every measure was either the best of his career or the second best of his career. It was fantastic. And now you guys said it. He's going to be at the top of the Dodgers lineup, replacing, like Corey Seager. He'll have Mookie Betts probably batting behind him. That's a lot to love about this guy, and is the reason he's the number one overall guy. The number two is the number two guy from each of my co-hosts. I have him at number 3, and we'll get to why in a moment. But his name is Ozzy Albies. He is the second baseman, obviously, of the world champion Atlanta Braves. And before the 2020 season started, I was talking about how Ozzy Albies could arguably become the best second baseman in baseball. You guys have him as the best second baseman, not named Trey Turner, who's going to be a shortstop anyway. So, Jason, let me start with you this time. Is he the best pure second baseman in baseball?
Best pure second baseman in baseball? You know what? I think when it's all said and done, maybe not. But right now, like coming into 2022, he might be. Yeah. The power that he showed this year with 30 home runs, 40 doubles, 103 runs scored, like he's playing for the World Championship Braves. Like, so even if they lose Freddie Freeman in free agency, they still got Austin Riley, they still got, Dansby Swanson, and so he has protection in that lineup. And he also sold 20 bases. Like, let's not discount that too. So, his average is a little low. He strikes out a bit, but he's a slugger.
So my question is, like, when it comes to the last thing you just said about his batting average, it's sort of seesawed back and forth as seasons go along. 286, 261, 295, 271, now 259. Mike Haber, what is Ozzy Albies as just a pure hitter? What can we expect as a batting average?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. And that was, I think, one of the big question marks of coming in. Well, two question marks last year. Will he stay healthy, and will he hit for average? Because he always had this power speed combo, which was tantalizing. But I mean, he needed a season like 2021 to prove to all of us that when he puts it all together, yes, he can be a pure hitter. And like, you'll take the 260 batting average with those counting stats. I think. I mean, it's why he's ranked below Trey Turner at this point.
Mhm.
But for the number 2 overall second baseman, I think you'll take those stats any day.
Sure. I mean, he had the quietest 30-20 season I've seen in quite a while. The on-base percentage isn't as good as you would like. He does strike out a little bit more than Trey Turner. So for all of those reasons that you guys mentioned, he is my number 3. The one other thing, Mike, you mentioned health. He played 158, 160, and 156 games in 2018, 2019, and 2021, respectively. The only issue for health was last season in 2020, which I'm just gonna give that dude a pass on that. Like,
right.
Let's see what you can actually, like. You've proven that you can stay healthy for 3 of the last 4 seasons. So I'll give you a pass.
The only question I have is, what does Acuna's return to the lineup do to him? Does it take away some of his RBIs because now you have a home run hitter who's batting right in front of you, or does it supplement his RBIs?
I think it does nothing but supplement, because Ozzy usually bats second, and
Yeah.
you know, he's only been batting leadoff because Acuna wasn't there. So, and even then, he wasn't batting leadoff. Jock Peterson was. So, I just think that this dude is going to be the 2 or the 3 hitter for a long time in Atlanta.
Yeah.
The only thing I hate about him is Atlanta signed him to a terrible contract that has him locked up through 2027, and he's only making $7 million a year between now and, like, annually. It's stupid.
Yeah.
All right, number 3 is my number 2. It is Jason's number 4 and Mike's number 3. It is Marcus Simeon. Now, why is Marcus Simeon above Ozzy Albies for me? Well, I mean, that's pretty obvious. The dude hit 45 home runs and drove in 102 RBIs and still stole 15 bases, so he's not a nothing at the stolen base department. Similar batting average, similar on-base percentage, lots of doubles, lots of runs scored. Now, if he goes to Detroit, completely different conversation, right? So for right now, I just have to sort of take this off of, okay, he's going to go back to Toronto, because I'm just going to treat every free agent as if they're going to be with their old club next season. When they sign, things will change. So I ask you, Jason Ashby, you have him at 4. What does Marcus Simeon got to do to get in the top 3 here?
You know, I see a trend with him. You know, we saw in 2019 he went bananas with 33 home runs and 92 RBIs, and then fell off a cliff in 2020. I get 2020 was what it was, but I have a feeling, you know, and again, from 2016 he hit 27 home runs, in 2017 10 home runs. Like, is there a cliff here, or can he maintain it for, you know, multiple seasons in a row? So that's the only thing that I knock him down for a little bit. If he does this again in 2022, what he did in 2021, then he's definitely, you know, moved up to top 3. I just want to see it.
You need one more. You need one more good season out of him. I understand.
More than once in a couple of seasons, you know.
Yeah. Mike Haber, you have him at 3, which is right where he lands based on our aggregate. Here's a question for you. Where would he go that you could move him above Ozzy?
I mean, the Blue Jays are the premier lineup, though. So, like, I don't think there is a way that he can move above Ozzy.
Okay. Colorado's not the answer? Like, that ballpark, Cincinnati's not the answer?
Yeah, I guess it would push it into the conversation a little bit further. But, I mean, the protection in that Blue Jays lineup, though, is unmatched.
Yeah. But you know what, though? I'm going to throw this out as a potential landing spot for him, you know, because, you know, Toronto is one of those many teams that are losing a key shortstop, right? Mm-hmm. What if he goes back to shortstop and goes to Houston?
That's an interesting scenario as well. There are plenty of good landing spots for him. New York needs a shortstop, last I checked, Mike. So, like, he could be a dude that they're interested in.
We'll take him. We'll take him.
The only issue is he's also right-handed. Like,
Right.
You have
I'd
way
rather
too
have
many
Corey
righties
Seager right
as
now.
it is. Like, yeah, Corey Seager's the dude for the Yankees this offseason,
Yeah.
but I digress. Simeon right now is number 2. It's fairly close with Albies. I can respect that. We'll move on to number 4, and this is another guy that I don't think we anticipated having a second base eligibility, but here we are. He is my number 4. He's your guy's number 5. Mookie Betts, who had a really bad year. Guys, you've got him at 5. Like, there are 4 better dudes that you think at this position for a dude who was going in the top 5 just this past season. Like, we can't give Mookie Betts a pass? That's not a thing?
I mean, look, he's still, top 5, right? So, I mean,
but here's my thing: if you're gonna put him top 5 at like 5th at second base, how many outfielders are you putting in front of him? Like, how far down the draft are you not willing to take this dude? Because if you're telling me that you would take Ozzy Albies before him, are you saying Ozzy Albies is a second rounder next year?
Yeah,
Okay.
I can see it.
I think so.
I can see it.
So you're saying Mookie Betts is back end of the second round? Beginning of the third round? With 4 second basemen in front of him? It's pretty low, guys.
It's tough when you have this much talent at this position, though. Like I could easily see Turner, Albies, Simeon all go in either the first or first half of the second round, like easily.
Yeah.
I could just see Mookie Betts going like 15th overall. And for us, that's first round, right?
Yeah.
I think somebody at the back end of the first round, if they land Mookie Betts, is willing to go, all right, let's go ahead and just write off 2021 as like this aberration. Forgetting for a minute, the dude still hit 23 homers and 10 steals with 93 runs scored and a 367 on base percentage. Like, there were things that were bad about Mookie Betts, but he dealt with a hip injury like all season. You can't, like, there's nowhere that's given it, because for the sake of argument, if he puts up his 2019 season, which is 29 homers, 80 RBIs, 16 runs scored, a 295 batting average, almost as many walks and strikeouts, and almost a 400 on base percentage, you'd have this guy at number 2.
Well, look, I drafted Mookie Betts that year in 2019. He was my number 2 pick overall. And if you compare those stats to 2018, it was a down year for him.
Yeah.
And it actually probably wasn't.
But he hit 346, Mike. Like, who hits 346?
He was MVP that year.
Yeah, like, he was the MVP. It was absolutely worthwhile taking him at 2, but like, if you were expecting him to hit 350 again, like, I don't think that's going to happen.
Right, but you would expect with a guy of this talent to hit somewhere around where Trey Turner is hitting, batting average wise.
So 320 is what you're expecting from Mookie Betts.
Yeah. After an MVP season of hitting almost 350, I would say 315, 320 is an okay regression. But anything below that, I feel like is kind of a letdown.
It'll be interesting in his third season in LA to see what they do as far as lineup protection and where he's going to bat and where he's going to play, because let's be honest, like, yeah, he's a right fielder, but he did play some second base this year for them, and he's eligible there this coming year. He played right in center. Like, where does Bellinger fit into this thing as their center fielder? Like, there's a lot of moving parts here.
Sure.
I still think, like, this is a pretty big sleeper, and if you give him the pass on 2021 and you draft him in the second or, God forbid, the third, if he's in the third round, I am going to scream and yell and want him. So I digress. This next gentleman, Mike Haber, you're very familiar with him. In fact, he is your number 4. Jason, your number 3. Guys, he's my number 7.
Wow.
Whit Merrifield. Mike, I'm going to let you take over on Whit Merrifield because you owned him all season. You loved him. But for a guy who only hit 10 home runs, you guys have him really high.
Yeah, I have him high up there, but 42 doubles, the 40 steals. The guy was always on base. He didn't score as many runs as I would have hoped for, but the one thing that I will say about Whit Merrifield is that he plays every single day. Sure. So you never have to find a replacement, and that's huge for our league.
So does Marcus Simeon.
Yeah. Yeah. So like I feel like, but that's something that's kind of undervalued in our league is people that play every day. And it's rare that you can find a player that is A, position eligible in everywhere, but B, what did he play, 160 games?
Merrifield?
Yeah.
All 162.
All 160.
Every single day he suited up for the Kansas City Royals. And so did Marcus Semien for the Blue Jays. So my question to you, Semien hits 45 home runs, drives in over 100 RBIs, scores 120 some odd runs, steals 15 bases, and hits a roughly the same batting average, but Whit Merrifield's above him?
Is that a Jason question?
It is a Jason question.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I could be sold that I ranked Merrifield a little too high. I don't know if 7. I feel like 7's kind of low for him still. Like Mike said, the going bat every day is a big thing. The 40 steals is a big thing.
But here's the thing: when you rank him that high, you're basically just saying like, I value the 40 steals a whole lot more. And let's be honest, he's already 32 years old. How much longer are we going to get 40 steals out of this dude?
I only need it for 2022.
Great point.
Touché.
And also, we look for rarities in this league for it to draft high up, and someone that plays every day and steals. And before 2020 or before 2021, like, this guy was good for like a 300 plus average.
Right.
So like, what else can you really
He had
ask
282 in the 60 games last year. Like,
yeah,
I'm not saying we're seeing a decline here because I don't think Whit Merrifield's like tool set is going to lend itself to a falling off a cliff. I think he'll just be like Charlie Blackmon when he's older, and he's just like a good hitter, but doesn't have a whole lot of power and gets on base fairly well. Like, that's what I'm expecting him to age like. But you could see the steals fall off a cliff as soon as next season.
You could.
Yeah.
You could.
Our number 6 has the mark of the beast, boys. We all had him at number 6. And, I mean, what can you say about Jose Altuve other than, like, he's probably one of the most hated players in Major League Baseball right now, but you can't hate him for what he did this past season. 31 homers, 83 RBIs, a 278 average, a 350 on base percentage, 117 runs scored. 6 feels fair. Like, it just feels fair. Like, it's not quite the top 5 because he doesn't steal any bases anymore. He had 5 this year. So all of the guys above him steal at least double-digit bases. Right, Jason?
Yeah. Every single one. Yeah, and let me tell you, Jose Altuve, like, I drafted this guy in the 6th round this year and held on to him all season long. And I remember when I drafted him, like, I didn't really want him. Like, I was kind of like, okay, I guess I should take him here. But like, I thought it was more like a settle pick. He ended up being one of, if not my best player all season long in what was a bad season for me. But, he was there, and he, the 31 home runs. I was one of those guys who thought that he was done, or at least not done, but on the decline. And he proved me wrong and helped me, as best as he could this season. So
yeah, he proved a lot of people wrong. The 31 homers matched a career high. The 83 RBIs is second best in his career. The only thing he didn't have that you really kind of wanted from Jose Altuve was a batting average above 300. Sure. Okay, fine. Like, whatever. Mike Haber, you've got him at 6 as well. How are you feeling about him? Could he move up?
I don't see him at this point moving above the top 5 that we have. What's strange about this dude is it feels like he's been in the league for like 25 years.
Yeah.
Because he was like on the Astros when they had no other players, and now he's been a part of this like dynasty, if you want to call it that. And
yeah, I had him I had him on what I guess was his. It wasn't his breakout season, because his breakout season was obviously 2014 when he hit 341 and had 225 hits. But I had him in 2015, where his power started to show up. He's just been around for so damn long, and he's been the face of the Houston Astros franchise, and he's not going anywhere. Like, this dude is still locked up through 2024.
Wow.
He'll be 35 years old when he becomes a free agent in 2025. So that's where we're at with Jose Altuve. Number 7 on our list is both of your guys' number 7, but I have him inside my top 5 at 5th. Max Muncy had a very, very nice year. And I think people sleep on this because this dude was really good. And I don't see a reason he can't keep doing this, right? Like, the batting average will never be there. He's going to hit like 250, 255 at best.
Mm-hmm.
But he's hit 35 or more homers every single year of the last 3 full seasons. He's had 90 RBIs plus each of the last 2 full seasons. But the one thing I love about this dude, his on base percentage is sick.
Yeah.
So I'm the high guy on Muncy, and he's kind of the reason that Merrifield falls down for me because I can find steals elsewhere. Jason, what do you think about Max Muncy? Plus, the lineup's fucking fantastic. Like, it's the Dodgers lineup again. And we've talked about 3 Dodgers so far, by the way. Just pointing that out.
That's pretty crazy that we talk about 3 Dodgers. And we're only in what are we, 7 right now. So that's pretty crazy. But for Muncy, for me, I've never really been I don't know why. I can't really verbalize why, but I've never really been a big believer in him. And he's got an off season to recuperate, but let's see how that injury that he suffered in the last game of the season, how that affects him. So that's something that's in my mind. He's going to be, he's not going to be playing second base this year. So he's going to be playing first base, pretty much primarily. DH maybe if that becomes a thing in the National League, which it likely will. I can definitely see him moving up my rankings, but right now that injury just scares me a little bit, and and so does the average.
Mike Haber, you've also got him at the back end of what I'm considering here to be the top tier of second baseman. Like, it's this 7 group of guys, and look, one of them's gonna bust. It very well could be Muncy. Like, he certainly has done it in the past. As recent as 2020, his 58 game stretch there gave him a 192 batting average. That was horrifying. But like, where do we see this guy?
Look, I think it's the same as what Jason's argument about Simeon was. It's like, I need to see him with a little more consistency. He clearly had an awesome first half of 2021. And then he declined a bit. But what scares me about Muncy is that his floor is incredibly low for me. He's got a nice ceiling, but he's got too low of a floor for me to put him into like a top 5.
Into the top 5.
Yeah,
I got you. For the record, his first half, 270 batting average, 414 on base with 19 homers and 52 RBIs. Second half, 228 batting average, 315 on base with 17 homers and 42 RBIs. Like, the power numbers are still going to exist. It's the batting average that you're concerned about, and I understand the concern.
Yeah, and the strikeouts.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But he only struck out, 140 times this year? 120 times this year.
120.
120 times this year with 83 walks. Like, the 83 walks just really excite me.
Yeah, it's huge.
As I just stated, like, there is a big dip from here, right? From here forward, nobody is going to be any kind of consensus, and it's the top 7, and it's however you view the rest of these guys. And this next guy is a guy I have to yell at you guys about, because look, Mike, he's your number 8. Jason, he's your number 9. He's my number 13. Guys, can we get off Jonathan India's dick for a minute and recognize that it's one season? You guys just said that you don't believe in Max Muncy because you need to see it one more time. Forgetting for a minute he's done it all 3 of the last 3 full seasons. But Jonathan India is now number 8 right behind him because he had it for 1 season. Mike Haber, explain yourself.
Okay, I will. Jonathan India proved that he can do everything this year. He can do it at a high level. Max Muncy, like I said before, his floor is too low for me. Jonathan India, we haven't seen evidence of a floor. So, like, if this is what this guy does consistently with 20 plus homers and maybe 12 to 15 steals and 60 to 80 RBIs, anywhere in that range with 100 runs scored, sitting atop the Reds lineup, like I'll take that. And I'll take that over like a 190 batting average with 40 home runs.
Sure. I would too. However, what if this is his ceiling? The Reds just lost Nick Castellanos. They're going to have to replace him with what? Aristides Aquino? Big downgrade.
Yeah.
Eugenio Suarez is another year older and another year weirder in the same vein as Max Muncy.
Yeah.
They still don't have a shortstop. Joey Votto's another year older. They just got rid of half of their catching tandem. The Reds are not improving. Like, Jason, what do you see in Jonathan India that I'm missing?
Well, so first of all, I do have Muncy ranked above India. So
we all do. We all have that 7 group that we just talked about. But India's the next guy for you two guys. And I'm like, why?
Because I just what I saw from him last year was truly impressive. And like he didn't look outmatched. He didn't look overmatched. I mean, I know he struck out 140 times. Okay, he's a rookie, but like his on base was ridiculous. And again, like I go back to those 2 series against the Mets, and I've talked about this with this guy. But like what we saw from him firsthand was just really, really impressive. And I think this kid is the real deal. I think. Look, I said before, like I said it off air, but like from here down, like you can jumble these guys up and spin it back out in any order, and I'd be like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. But to me, India is a guy that I think has staying power in the bigs, and I think he is a guy that like Mike said, I think his floor is. We haven't seen his floor yet, so.
If this is his floor, he's a top 5 second baseman.
Yeah.
If this is his ceiling, he might be top 15, right? Like I'm treating this season as like, okay, if this is the best we see out of Jonathan India, and next year he comes out and hits 16 home runs, drives in similar RBI totals, and steals 10 bases with like a 254 batting average, you're going to look at it and go,
It's just like you got a guy this young who's new to the league that walked 71 times. Like that's
I love that.
That's an indicator for me,
Mm-hmm.
that he's not just trying to get up there and hit the home run. He's doing everything.
Well, the next guy we actually disagree on inversely. You guys have him at 12 and 13 respectively. I have him at 8. It's Jake Croninworth. Multi-position eligibility. And the dude has done it for more than one season, for whatever 2020 was. I like Croninworth a lot more than, like, I don't like him. Look, I like him more than Jonathan India, obviously, because triple eligibility is huge. And when we do first base, we talked about this off air, that's an incredibly weak position, but Croninworth has that ability to play that position. Second, how much worse can the Padres offense really be than what it was last year? Right? Yep. This dude's going to hit right in the middle of it, too. I love what I get out of Croninworth, and y'all can have Jonathan India. Mike Haber, we had a lot of Jonathan or Jake Croninworth talk this season because I mean he bounced around the league a little bit.
Yeah.
Tell me what you're feeling about Croninworth.
I mean he's a good hitter. Every time I played against him, he hit well against me. I just at this second base position, I want someone that does a little bit of everything. I want someone that can give me occasional pop, that can also steal bases, that can draw walks, that can score runs. And Croninworth does a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. He doesn't really run that much. And I don't know. I think that's just kind of what I look for in these middle infielders or center fields type players. Gotcha. So I think that's why he's a little lower for me.
Okay. Jason, you're right in the middle at 12 on him. And I mean, if you're saying he's top 12, then he's a starter in every fantasy league that has at least 12 teams. So that's at least commendable. But really, like you guys are high on a kid that did it for 1 year, Croninworth in a arguably better lineup. Why India above Croninworth?
He's India's in a better ballpark.
Okay.
And Croninworth, like Mike said, like the Croninworth does a lot of things well, doesn't do one thing great. So like like you're not going to expect 40 home runs from the guy. You're not going to expect a high on base. You're not going to expect a high steal totals. You're not, he does a lot of things, and the eligibility is great, like you said. And I do love that he's got 3 infield positions. I don't know. Look, and same thing with India. I get it, but like, I feel like India has a better chance of repeating what he did in 2021 than Cronenworth does.
Okay, fair enough. Speaking of repeating things that they did in 2021, if this guy repeats what he did in 2021, he's going to have back-to-back, like, ridiculous fucking seasons, okay? And we're all right around the same spot on this guy. I have him at 10. Mike, you have him 11. Jason at 13. It's Brandon Lau. And not for nothing, dude went 39 and 99 with 97 runs scored. 247 average, 340 on base percentage. Holy shit, where did this power come from? Like, Mike Haber, you hate this guy.
I fucking hate this guy.
Is it because he kills the Yankees that you hate him? Or is there something in his game that you're going, I just don't buy this?
Yeah, that's it. It's the second one. Yeah, he hits for power, and he's really streaky. So he got really hot at the end of 2021. He got really hot. I think it was the beginning of 2020 or 2019, but one of the halves, 2020.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen him sustain it for an entire year. He strikes out a lot. He hits in a Rays lineup that strangely enough doesn't score a lot of runs. They did this year, but like, I don't know. You know how I feel about this guy, Joe.
That's why I came to you first, man, because he's going to be 27 years old. That's entering his prime. We've seen him hit as high as 270. He has a decent walk percentage. He's got plenty of power, obviously. I just don't know why Mike Haber wouldn't be in on this guy. Jason, you're a little bit closer to the top here on the, or no, you're the low man on this guy.
I am.
You're 13.
Yeah, I traded this guy earlier in the season, and look, do I regret it? Maybe, because he definitely had a better year than Matt Chapman did. But the strikeouts and the low batting average, to me, those two things combined, like, 40 home run power is great. I don't know if that's really sustainable with for him, for this kind of player at 167 strikeouts and a 247 average. Like, the on base was nice. I don't know if it's sustainable for him. If it is, like I said, if he comes back next year and does this again, or comes close to it, then he moves up the rankings. But right now, I'm not buying it.
If he comes back next year and even hits like 32 homers and puts up close to 100 RBIs and 100 runs scored and hits like 255, this is then I think you have to believe in this guy.
Yeah.
But like you said, he kind of came out of nowhere, right? So like I don't know where to buy in somebody that's coming out of nowhere.
He could very well hit 215 next year.
He could,
and I would not be shocked. Yeah.
And the next guy definitely could hit 215 as well. He could strike out 3,000 times in a season for all we fucking know. You guys know who it is.
Yes.
Yeah. You guys both have this guy inside the top 10. I don't even have him in the top 15. I've got him at 16. Jason, you've got him at 10. Mike at 9. And I hope to God he does not re-sign on our team, Jason. I really don't want to see this guy in a Met uniform. I would love to see him in a Yankee uniform. That'd be terrific.
No thanks.
Javier Baez. This season, we saw a 265 batting average, a 319 on base, 31 homers, 87 RBIs, 18 stolen bases, 80 runs scored, 184 strikeouts to only 28 walks. But no, he's totally a top 10 player at this position, guys. Mike Haber, 9th. Come on.
I think you're a little biased, Joe. Just a little bit.
Yes. And that's fine. I will eat my bias, but I will also say that at some point he will fall off a fucking cliff.
Yeah. I don't see him falling like too far off an entire cliff this coming year. I must admit though, I think 9 is a little high for him. Looking at these, like his extra base hits, his doubles, his triples, and even his runs scored are just, those totals are really low, much lower than you'd want. But like it's I hate to keep using the word tantalizing, but like this like 30-20 possibility at a middle infield position is something that is coveted, and it's hard to find in the league these days. So and I'm sure there were weeks this year where you were like, okay, Javi Baez just carried me.
I tried to fuck it. Well, okay, so he carried me, I think, in a couple of weeks toward the end of the season when he got hot on the Mets.
Yeah.
He also fucking murdered me in some weeks.
Yeah.
Having like 12 and 13 strikeouts in a week. And never. He walked basically once a week this season. That's insanity. That's insanity.
I hate to like compare him to this guy because it's apples and oranges, but like Shohei Ohtani, similar, I mean, obviously more power numbers, but like the power speed combo, the RBIs, and like the shit ton of strikeouts on a weekly basis.
But a shit ton of walks over the season.
Yeah.
Ohtani walked almost 100 times. Baez, a fourth of that.
Yeah.
I hate this guy. I will never own this guy again. I will put that out here right now. I will never own this player again because I am scared to death of what a bad Baez season looks like. Because we could be looking at a guy who could he could hit 210 with 23 home runs and 56 RBIs and 12 steals, and everybody goes, well, it wasn't that bad because he had 12 steals, right? Come on. Got like a 297 on base percentage. Come on. Jason?
Yeah, just I'll say real quick, look, for what it's worth, his numbers improved dramatically, I think, from when he came over to the Mets versus when he was with Chicago. Like his strikeout rate fell, his walk rate rose, his errors dropped. He just looked more comfortable playing in the 40 games or whatever it was with the Mets than he did with the Cubs earlier in the year. Change of scenery, I don't know. There's no question he's a time bomb. He is an absolute time bomb. But I think what you can get out of him as a positive is, like Mike said, is just very tantalizing. And you know what you're gonna get with him. You know you're gonna get strikeouts. You know you're gonna get errors. But if you're gonna get 30 bombs and 20 steals, all right, that's out of your second base spot. Like, okay, so I can pick him up lower in the draft and focus somewhere else higher up in the draft.
I don't know. I think there's a team that's about to sign up for the bad part of Javier Baez. I'm willing to believe and tell you guys right now, we have seen the best of Javi Baez. We have seen a 34, 111, 21 steal season with a 290 batting average. He'll never, ever hit above 270 again.
What if he goes to Coors?
The last time that the Colorado Rockies signed a free agent, it was Daniel Murphy, who no longer plays baseball. B, no. All right, let's move off of Javier Baez because, God damn it, I don't want to have an aneurysm. The next guy on the list, again, we're kind of right around the same area. He missed some time this year and had a dreadful, well, maybe not a dreadful, but he had a bad 2020 coming off of a really good 2019 season. Jason, you have him at 15, Mike at 10. I've got him at 11. It's Katel Marte. And what do we make of Katel Marte as basically the best thing on the terrible Diamondbacks, who, by the way, are probably not going to do anything this offseason and just call this year like an aberration? Mike Haber, I'll start with you because you and I seem to be a little bit close on this guy. He makes your top 10 above Brandon Lau. Interesting.
Yeah. Well, Katel Marte is someone who can do everything, and I don't see Brandon Lau as that type of player. Marte didn't really run that much this season.
But he did have a very bad hamstring injury, so that's probably why.
Yeah, he was hampered from a running perspective, and he only had 340 at bats.
Mhm.
But if we were to double that total, or not double it, but almost double it, I mean, his numbers are looking great, and take away that injury, and this is a guy that can hit 320. This is a guy that can hit 30 bombs and steal 10 to 15 bases, and a guy that we're going to get at good value this year because he didn't play for a full season last year.
And you guys have them both behind Javi Baez. Jason, defend yourself. This guy's 5 ticks behind Javi Baez at 15.
I just he kind of like, for me, in the Marcus Simeon category, but just worse. Where like, show it to me, again, because like you talked about his steals, his career high is 11. Like that's not great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's useful, but it's certainly not, terrific, or, so, so even in that 2019 season, he stole 10 bases, like, but he had a great year. He had a great 329, 389 on base. Do it one more time with some good defense. And, then I can move you up, but you're playing on, like you said, you're playing on a shitty Diamondbacks team. I don't have a lot of expectations for this guy.
I'll admit this much. This is the poster child, along with Josh Bell, of like the 2019 juice ball season for me, right?
Yeah.
He hit 14 homers this year. That was his previous career high before 2019. Now, he played 90 games. Come out in 2022, play a full 150 games, and hit somewhere in the 20s and prove it to me, and then you can move up the ranking. But for right now, like, I've got him at 11. He's right outside the top 10. Like, I think he could move in there, certainly, if he puts up another good season. Move on to the next guy we have at 13. I am the low man on this one at 12. Jason, you have this guy in your top 10 at 8. Mike, outside the top 15 at 16. This is the guy that I was like, where the fuck does Jorge Polanco go? Mike Haber, you are out on Jorge Polanco?
I wouldn't say out on him, but yeah, I'm a little low on him. I don't see the Twins. I see the Twins having a similar type season to one they just had, and I don't know. I don't think Polanco is going to have a lot of bats around him, and I think that hopefully eventually the American League catches on to that. I really don't see him being protected, and I don't see him. I think this is kind of like his peak year in 2021. I think it's all downhill.
Jason, you're the high man on this at 8. What do you see in Jorge Polanco that Mike's missing here?
I honestly, I don't know, because I remember last year I was completely out on this guy, and he kind of made me eat my words. So I guess I'm kind of, making even here. But look, 22 home runs in 2019, forget 2020, and then 33 home runs in 2021. Like, to me, those are 2 good years in a row. 295 average in 2019. Like, he doesn't strike out a whole lot. 118 is...
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Over 162 games, that's great. Or 152 games in his case, yeah, that's great.
And that too. He comes to the game every day. He's there every day. He scored 97 runs on a bad Twins team. So, is this his peak season? It could possibly be his peak season, but I don't necessarily believe that he'll fall off a cliff in 2022.
He's also entering his prime at 28 going into next year. So
yeah.
I tend to lean a little bit closer to Jason. That's why I'm kind of the guy in the middle here going, Polanco could be good. I mean, we've seen 2 pretty good seasons out of him. 33 homers and 98 RBIs on a last place Twins team is nothing to sneeze at, nothing to turn your nose up at.
Yeah.
If he could do it again, great. I do think there is something to the fear of this is going to be a bad team. And I don't know that I want to own arguably the best player on a bad team.
Right.
So I digress. We will move on. Jason, this must be your personal human man crush because you are so much higher than Mike and I on this one as well. Mike, you've got him at 17. I've got him inside my top 15 at 15. Jason, he is your number 11. Ty France. Ty France. Tell me about Ty France, Jason. You love this dude.
Yeah, I do, and I kind of regret trading him, I guess, mid-season. But but once I did, he did kind of nosedive a little bit. But I think he plays all over the infield. The Mariners don't have Kyle Seager anymore, so maybe this is the third baseman. Maybe he's their everyday third baseman now. I don't know. There's something about this Mariners team that like guys just kind of find their way there, and I just think that he's a guy that can do that there. He played 152 games, 18 home runs, 73 RBIs, a 291 average. So like
It was definitely that guy's doing that over there. Like it definitely brought attention to him.
Yeah.
Mike Haber, where are we at on Ty France next year? You're the low man on this guy. What are you not liking about him?
Again, I'm gonna go back to like I want someone in my second base position that can do a little bit of everything. And this guy, even if he is a corner infielder, which Jason says he may be playing third, first, who knows?
I think he's going to be the first baseman, honestly.
First baseman.
Like I don't think they have a guy that's ready to take that. Evan White notwithstanding.
Right. And this guy doesn't run. He actually, I mean, his power was okay, but
yeah. For his first full season, 18 homers is certainly respectable at second if you're playing him in second base.
Yeah. Yeah. Can we get that number and a couple steals somewhere else? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I don't know. That's just kind of how I'm thinking of it.
106 strikeouts over 152 games. That's
another good number, and the 368 on base is really nice.
Yeah.
Now, my only fear is it's the fucking Mariners, and they put up this great season of like 90 or 91 wins. If they come out next year and lay an egg and like win 71 games, this is probably one of the guys that's not going to do well, right? Like, I just kind of feel like if there's a guy that needs to prove it, it's this guy. Because where the hell did you come from? The next guy on our list, Mike Haber. You have him at 12. I'm higher at 9. Jason Ashby, how dare you? How dare you put DJ LeMahieu at 23? That face, Mike Haber. Tell them about DJ LeMahieu.
Wow, Jason. Cold. All right. LeMahieu, batting champ, and sustained it for years across multiple leagues. I don't think that whatever happened in 2021, I think it was I think it was, I don't know, an injury, maybe, possibly. I mean, he was out. He missed some time. He missed time all year. Yeah, he was kind of shitty when he was on the field, and he was not what we expected when we signed him to the contract we signed him to. Yet he still got on base at a relatively respectable clip. He walked a lot. He set the table. He did a little bit of everything. Just he had one down year. That's it. One down year. And we saw what happened with Altuve with a down year. Granted, it was 2020. I get it.
That was going to be my point. You took the words out of my mouth.
Sorry.
This is the dude that last year is Jose Altuve. And coming into the draft, everybody's like, I don't want to touch Altuve. He just hit 219. He hit 219 in a 60-game stretch. This dude hit 268. Now, granted, the power numbers aren't there. But DJ LeMahieu hit 26 home runs in 2019. It was the juice ball. He had never hit more than 15. What were you expecting?
But that's just it. I'm not expecting 26, 102. And he's going to be 33. So he's, to me, he's on the outside of his prime now. I feel like the Yankees are like kind of in this weird limbo, messy area. Yeah. And look, I'm not saying the Mets aren't either, but we're not talking about Lindor. We're talking about LeMahieu.
But still hitting in front of Judge and Stanton, like 100%.
Can we get off of Stanton's dick too, please? Can we stop acting like 2017 was last year?
His numbers were pretty great last year.
They were fine. But can we stop acting like Giancarlo Stanton is some sort of like Babe Ruthian type, like Mike Trout type player? Judge had a great year. It's the first time he was healthy since his rookie year. Yeah. Good. DJ LeMahieu's supposed to be the guy setting the table ahead of these guys. And that's all you really need him to do. What I'm looking for him to come back and do is hit 300, score 100 runs, hit double-digit homers, steal me a couple of bases, and get on base.
Yep.
I am not looking for a 2019 MVP caliber season where he drives in 100 runs and hits 327. That's not realistic. It's just not. But you hit 300 for me, I'll be happy with you as my 9th overall second baseman. But the disrespect that's going to be put on this man's name because he had one bad year, the first relatively bad year in his career, which he hit 10 home runs and drove in 57 RBIs. That is his norm. 15 and 62 in his final season in Colorado, 8 and 64 in 2017, 11 and 66 in 2016. Like, this is who he is. This is what it is.
Yeah. And that's why I don't value him very high. Like, he doesn't bring up a lot to me.
I just think, like, if he's going to score 100 runs, which he did 4 straight years, 3 in Colorado and 1 in New York, like, that's what I'm drafting him for. 23 is just disrespectful. Because now, here's another sort of cliff, because it jumps again. All right. So the aggregates here were 10, 11, 11.3, 11.6, 12s, and now 14s. The big jump comes right after this guy. I love this kid. I absolutely love this kid. You guys know who it's going to be. Come on. You know who it is. Say his name.
Turn up the saxophone.
You
Jazz
know it.
Chisholm.
It is Jazz Chisholm. I have him at 14. I have him ahead of Ty France. I have him ahead of Javi Baez. You guys, Jason, you have him at 20. Mike at 19. You want to talk about a power speed combination? This is it. This is the dude. Mike, what don't you like about him?
It's a guy with a lot of swing and miss stuff. He's a sloppy fielder, like a horribly sloppy fielder.
Yep, absolutely. He's also 23 fucking years old.
Yeah, he's 23 years old, but I mean, Gleyber Torres didn't get any better, but that's a different story. Yeah, he's got the power speed combo, but I think he needs a little more plate discipline before I'm ready to be like, this is like top 10, top 15 player or second baseman. Because the 303 on base last year, the 145 to 34 walk, 145 strikeouts to 34 walk ratio is not good. But yeah, I mean, in a year or two, I think I could see myself drafting this guy within like top 10 of second baseman.
Yeah, that's exactly. And here's the thing: next year could be the breakout.
It could.
He could go 30-30. Could. I think that's the ceiling we're looking at with this guy. We're looking at Alfonso Soriano here. It's exactly what we're looking at. Jason.
Right now, though, I'm just afraid that he could also be Javi Baez. He's an inexperienced Javi Baez. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking back at Javi Baez. Aside from 2020, he's never had an on-base percentage as low as Chisholm had this year. So, like, yeah, he could be Soriano. He could be Javi Baez. I just don't know. And that unknown, that to that extreme, I'm just not willing to take the risk just yet.
Okay.
Especially on a Marlins team, he's not going to even if he's leading off, he's not going to score a whole lot of runs on that team. So I'm just.
You say that, and yet Jesus Aguilar and Adam Duvall both drove in over 100 runs.
Yeah, but Adam Duvall's not there anymore, and
no, but they'll replace him. Like Jesus Sanchez is going to be that replacement. Bank on it.
Sure, but I need to see it. I
I hear you. He's 23.
He's 23. Look, yeah, you're absolutely right. He could become the next thing, and I'm all for that. But just right now, I just need to see it.
I hear you. I can respect tapering expectations on him. But come on, 18 homers and 23 steals in 124 games. That's like close to a 30-30 pace. That's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah.
The next guy on the list, I'm a little bit lower than you guys are. You guys have him at 17 and 18, respectively. I'm concerned about what's going to happen with his playing time, and I'm also concerned that he might be going somewhere else after this season. It's Chris Taylor, and
Yeah.
if we're concerned about strikeout rate, this is another guy.
Yeah.
254 average, 344 on base, 167 strikeouts to 63 walks, 20 homers, 73 RBIs, 92 runs scored. But if he's the guy who goes to Cincinnati, where are we at then?
Yeah.
Mike Haber, where do you have what's the word on Chris Taylor?
I think it really is dependent on where he goes. I could see him falling outside the top 20 if he's not on a team with either a heavy lineup or a friendly ballpark. Having him at 18 is based on his eligibility, which is almost unmatched.
Terrific.
And the fact that he has that power speed combo. That's the only reason why I have him there. And it's also under the assumption, like you said earlier, of like, let's assume he goes back to LA and does get that playing time and keeps playing all over the field, then I could see him staying in the top 20 for me.
Jason, how much do you like Chris Taylor?
Look, I kind of had him and his former teammate. I was jockeying with them back and forth. And we'll get to him later, but because they're kind of the same to me, the strikeouts are alarming. But that speed and power combo that Mike mentioned is huge, and the versatility. And no matter where he goes, like, he's the kind of guy who doesn't need to have a set position to be an everyday starter. We've seen this. So, like, he can go to any team practically and at least know that he's going to have playing time. So he has that going for him. I've always kind of been a little skeptical of him, so I can see him very easily just falling off the face of the earth. But right now, I'm banking on another good season for this guy.
All right. I mean, it remains to be seen where he goes. I know that the Reds have been interested in him, but we shall see exactly where he ends up. The next guy on the list, all right, you guys are going to have to convince me to move this guy up because I feel like I may be a little bit upset at him, and I'm willing to hear a case to move him up. I have him at 27. Jason, you've got him at 22. Mike, you're the high guy on this guy. 14 for Tommy Edman.
All right, I'm ready.
Go ahead.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
All right. I want you to put Tommy Edman and Whit Merrifield's numbers next to each other for.
All right, this is what I was waiting for. I'm waiting for somebody to tell me what's so special about Tommy Edman, not Rondell White.
No, Whit Merrifield and Tommy Edman next to each other.
All right. This past season, Tommy Edman's numbers: 262 average, 308 on base percentage, 11 homers, 56 RBIs, 30 steals, 91 runs scored, 159 games played, and 41 doubles. The 41 doubles is really nice. The 308 on base percentage is hideous. Whit Merrifield, 277 batting average, 317 on base percentage, 10 homers, 74 RBIs, 40 steals, 42 doubles, 97 runs scored. I get it. It's a poor man's Whit Merrifield.
It's a poor
man's Whit Merrifield.
It's a poor man's Whit Merrifield who has more position eligibility than Whit. Mm-hmm. He's hitting in front of Goldschmidt and Arenado. He's a guy that has proven to hit extra base hits at an alarming rate. He also will always hit leadoff, and he's going to play every day. And I mean, this is a Whit Merrifield like 5, 6, 7, 8 rounds later. So for me, that's someone that I'm going to look for and try to target.
I'm just amazed that he's at 14 for you, and like Jorge Polanco and I don't know, Jazz Chisholm are below him, when both of those guys are better hitters and better power hitters than those guys. But there again, you've already said that you prefer speed at this position, so I understand that. Jason, you're kind of in the middle of us. Like like a 13 spots difference between me and Mike. So where are you at on Edman? I just don't believe it.
Look, yeah, and the thing is, like, and again, like I said, this is a part of the rankings where you can just kind of like throw them all in a hat and pick one out and go, yeah, he's the 21st, or because at one point I had him 25th on my rankings. Like at one point I had him off my ranking. The 308 on base percentage and the 262 batting average like really kind of took me off of this guy. The 30 steals is great. The 41 doubles is wonderful, and he plays every day. He's got eligibility, so that he's got some things working for him. We haven't really seen him. I mean, unless you count 2020 as a full season, but you know, because he played almost every game of that shortened season. But even that wasn't great, you know. So we just haven't really seen like a really good season from this guy.
I don't think we're ever going to see what a really good season out of Tommy Edman looks like, because I'm just going to throw names at you at this point that came out of the Cardinals system that like, oh wow, this guy's really good, but then where did he go? Like, whatever happened to Aledmus Diaz? Whatever happened to Steven Piscotty? Whatever happened to like, and I'm not talking about dudes who played like 20 years ago. I'm talking about dudes who played in 2017.
Even Paul DeYoung, who's still playing for the Cardinals.
That's a great example. Like that dude was really good, and then all of a sudden he wasn't.
Well, I'm also looking at Tommy Edmonds' 2019 stats regular season, where he only played 92 games, but a 304 average, 350 on base with 11 homers, 15 steals, and you know it's half a season or a little more than half a season, but again, proof that he can do a little bit of everything and play all over the field and hit atop this lineup.
Yeah, I mean the 2020 run was awful, but that is what it is. So, all right, I'm willing to move him up a little bit. I do like what you said, Mike, about him hitting in front of Arenado and Goldschmidt. That's really, really good. Plus the 30 steals, I think I undervalued the 30 steals a lot more than I should have. I'm willing to move him up, not by a whole lot. I'm going to switch him with a guy that's already on the list, and I don't necessarily like where I have him either, but I've got to put this guy ahead of him because of where he plays. So Edman now to 22. I think 22 is fair.
All right. I'll take that jump.
Oh, that means... Okay, hang on. Now I got to renumber everything because... Perfect. All right, we'll move on. The next guy on our list, Jason, you're the high guy on this list at 16. Mike, you and I both have him at 25. It's Nikki Lopez. Jason?
Yeah.
Nikki Lopez?
And the thing is with Nikki Lopez is I'm still not convinced that he's actually going to play second base. I'm not. So this is very.
I'm not even convinced he's a major leaguer yet.
Dude, when I picked him up last year, he was great for me. Like he saved whatever was left of my season. Like the 22 steals, he batted 300. No, he's got no power, but like okay, 21 doubles is all right.
Wait, you can't just smooth over the fact that the dude had 2 more home runs than I did. He doesn't have any power, so whatever. Like, dude. You're not, Jason. You can't possibly be serious that you're going to draft this dude over Chris Taylor, who we just talked about. You're going to draft this dude 7 spots in front of DJ LeMahieu, a former batting champion. This dude has had 1.5 minutes on the fucking scene, and this is the guy. This is top 15 potentially, but DJ LeMahieu can't even crack the top 20.
Played every day. You know, at least I hit a game bout. You know, look, yes, okay, maybe you know he could go down a few. I could be convinced, but I'm not off of this guy. I think he was undervalued last year. You know, going into 2021, and he had a good year. Like I would take the season for my second baseman.
I think he does play second base. Mike Haber, please just talk some sense into this man. He put Nikki Lopez 7 spots ahead of DJ LeMahieu. As a Yankee fan, you should be offended.
I am. I'm really angry at Jason. And not to mention also that Jason used the Nikki Lopez weapon against me in our like heated matchup from the 2021 season. But on top of that, I don't believe it. don't buy into it quite yet. I mean, he's gonna be hitting probably ninth in the
Mhm.
Royals lineup. If they move him to second and he's hitting second, great. That'll help his value. But if he is hitting ninth in this Royals lineup, um, yeah, he hit his first home run in July, I think. I,
And then he hit another one.
What? And then he hit
And
one
then he
more.
hit one
Yeah.
hole, one more. His first one came in July. His second one came later.
And he was done.
That's it.
Yeah, I just don't buy it. I don't buy it yet. You know who this reminds me of? This reminds me of a little bit of Tony Kemp. Like Tony Kemp had a nice season for Oakland. Like he walked more than he struck out. He had a great on base percentage. But like, do I think Tony Kemp is gonna be like a second baseman I'm targeting this year?
He's
No.
like 4 times as many home runs as Nikki Lopez did in Oakland. You know who this is? This is David Fletcher. Like that's what you think Nikki Lopez's ceiling could be is David Fletcher.
Yeah.
I don't know. The field potential for me is really high. He's now getting a chance to play. I don't know. I think he could surprise everybody.
Jason, I think he stole 7 bases in that 1 week against me. It's like a third of his steals.
That he might have won a few votes from me from that week. So.
All right, the next guy here is not somebody that I don't even know if he's a major leaguer at this point. This guy, at least, I can be convinced is in fact a major leaguer because his team traded away a guy who played the position that he now currently plays, but will have second base eligibility next year. And he plays in the best fucking home ballpark. It's Ryan McMahon. Finally, the Rockies got a prospect that paid off for like a minute. 254 batting average, 331 on base, 23 homers, 86 RBIs and 6 steals, 32 doubles, 80 runs scored. Rockies are going to be awful.
Yeah.
But like at this point, we're talking about a late round flyer on McMahon, right? Like we're not talking about somebody that we're drafting even in this top 15 rounds. So having him, Mike and I have him at 21. Jason, you're a little bit lower at 24. So this is the first guy that I can actually talk about being behind DJ LeMahieu. Why does he get to go behind DJ LeMahieu, but Nikki Lopez doesn't?
Yeah, Ryan McMahon. I just don't know what to make of this guy. He could.
You're in Colorado. You hear it a lot more than we do. So what does the local scene think of this guy?
They're okay. Like they love Charlie Blackman. They love Trevor Story. Like they're okay on this guy. I just don't know if maybe they haven't seen him yet. He hasn't been the guy. Now if he's going to be the guy, maybe he comes up a little bigger. But I don't know. The strikeout potential for me is really scary. The power is going to be there for sure, especially here in Colorado. Yeah. But like you said, he plays on a shitty team, so the run potential is not really there. Low batting average, decent on base. He's okay. Like he's a bench piece for me.
Okay. All right. He's going to have a couple of positions eligible, third base, second base, which is nice. A little bit of flexibility. Mike Haber, anything to add on this dude?
Yeah, the only thing I would add is like when he's playing in Coors, you're expecting like what Brandon Lau did this past year. Those are the power numbers you're expecting. I'll take the high strikeout rates, but 23 homers, I don't think I'd want that for a guy that I'm drafting strictly for like Coors Field power. So if he, he's still a young player. So if he can show me 30 to 35 bombs at second base, then absolutely this guy's going to climb on my list.
Yeah. I get the feeling like this might be the last year you're going to get him at second base because he really does seem to fit the third base mold. For what it's worth, he's a really good hitter in Coors, and he is, just like every other Rockies player, awful on the road. 278 batting average, 343 on base at home with 12 homers and 46 RBIs. Away from Coors, 227 batting average, 317 on base, but the power numbers stick around, 11 homers and 40 RBIs. Like, so he can hit, he just obviously can't hit for average on the road. Weird.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. But
No. The final guy in our list of 21 that all three of us had in our rankings, these guys did 25, I did 35, is Gene Segura. What? Do we care?
How do you really feel about it, Joe?
It's Gene Segura. I had him at 26. Like, I just threw him in here because all three of us had him on there. But, like, it's Gene Segura. Guys.
I just like the batting average and the,
It's okay. But, like, it's Gene Segura. He's not like, you talk about guys who do one thing special. Gene Segura doesn't do anything above average.
Yeah.
290, 348 on base, 14 homers, 58 RBIs, 76 runs. He doesn't hit at the top. Well, he didn't hit at the top of the Phillies lineup this year, but without Andrew McCutchen there, maybe he becomes the new leadoff hitter. Who knows what the Phillies are going to do because they need, like, a lot of stuff. I don't know.
He also missed time this year, and I think part of it was illness. I don't think it was all injury.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I'm kind of willing to, with COVID and everything like that, like, I'm kind of willing to, like, excuse that and look more towards, like, his 2018, 2019 numbers that were, at least all around a little bit, more rounded. So. And he, like I said, he could be hitting at the top of that order with Bryce Harper and Real Muto and Hoskins. So, I can see some upside to this guy. He is going into age 32. So, he's kind of on the downward trend of his career, but he could have a decent season. Like, he's another bench guy for me.
Like, what is the best we could possibly expect from a 32-year-old Gene Segura? Is it 20 homers? Maybe? Like, is that too lofty an expectation? Because he's done it all of once in his career.
Right.
Like, he's not going to drive in more than 65 runs because he hasn't done that either. He might score 90. He's done that twice. Like,
I think you hope for maybe 10, 15 bombs, 10, 15 steals, 60 RBIs, but like a batting average north of 290.
Yeah.
And then you're happy.
I think this is the type of dude who could, like, float around on the waiver wire and then somebody gets an injury and he becomes their starter for a while and then he's garbage again. Like, it's nothing special. All right.
No.
That covers the 21 that we agree on are in the top 25. Somehow Gene Segura made that. That being said, there were a bunch of guys that two of us agreed on and one of us didn't have on the list. I'll just throw those names out there. If you guys want to talk about it, any one of them, that's fine. Eduardo Escobar, Adam Frazier, Gleyber Torres, Nick Madrigal, Jonathan Scope. Those 5 names you guys all had in your top 25. I had them in the top 35. Anybody want to jump on one of them?
I think I just would like to start with the Nick Madrigal just because I had him at 20.
Mm-hmm. I had him at 33.
Okay. Okay.
Like, he's there. The Cubs are going to be awful, but he's a guy who could steal you 30 bases, maybe.
And he's a high batting average, high contact hitter too.
Yeah,
which is something that
he's Gene Segura in the 27th round. Like, that's all he is.
You can't see Nick Madrigal maybe like hitting 320 one day. I could see him as a better hitter than Gene Segura.
Yes. Yeah. Maybe he has a season that's akin to like something like DJ LeMahieu did in his prime, where he's got like double-digit home runs, but not by much. Good number of steals that LeMahieu never did, and a good batting average. Like, I could see that. Yeah. Jason, you got one of those 5 guys? Escobar?
Yeah, I'll hit on it. I'll hit on Eduardo Escobar.
Okay.
He's a guy, I think he kind of sneaks under the radar a little bit because he's kind of one-dimensional, but he hit 35 home runs in 2019 and then 28 home runs this year. Like, that's not nothing, and he has multiple eligibility.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's gonna be where does he land? He's a free agent, so.
Sure. Like, Haber, you didn't have Eduardo Escobar in the top 25. Why?
This is another guy I just don't necessarily buy into. Like, he he had an amazing year with the Diamondbacks, and he had a pretty good year. But I feel like it's coming. I feel like the sharp decline from like 28 homers, 90 RBIs is going to hit that like Keston Hiura like moment where he just implodes and nothing happens. I just see it for this guy. I don't know why.
Gotcha. Yeah, I have him at 17. Jason has him at 19. The one guy I do want to ask Jason about, inside of his top 15, we still haven't talked about one guy. Mike, you don't even have this guy on your list.
Okay.
I have him at 19. It's Adam Frazier. Jason, what do you love about Adam Frazier that makes him a top 15 guy?
I feel like he did well in Pittsburgh. If he can do well in Pittsburgh, like he's got to be able to do well in San Diego, like with that lineup. I mean, like you said, they're not going to be that bad, as bad as they were. Like he's an all around player. He 10 stolen bases, a 305 average, 368 on base, 5 home runs, 5 triples, like 155 games. So he plays every day. He has outfield eligibility. Like he's a solid player, and I think, you know, again, if he can succeed with the lowly Pirates, I think he can do well with the Padres.
Mike, you don't have him ranked.
No, I feel the exact opposite. I think that him hitting 324 in 2021 was, or in Pittsburgh in 2021 was great for him. But you got to hope for that, because this is a guy that's going to give you single-digit homers, single-digit steals, probably knock in 30 or 40 runs, and probably hit at the bottom of this Padres lineup.
That's
So,
the biggest thing for me, is that
I'm out on this guy.
the move to San Diego nuked any value for me when you're saying that he was like the leadoff hitter in Pittsburgh, and that's great when you're hitting in front of a career year Brian Reynolds and some other fairly decent pieces. But you move to San Diego and all of a sudden you're hitting eighth every day, because you're not hitting in front of Tatis, you're not hitting in front of, you know, Tommy Pham, you're not hitting in front of Croninworth or Machado or Mike's best friend Eric Hosmer. Like, you're not doing that, right? So I don't know. I don't like the move. I've got him at 19 only because I feel like you can get some good average, but I'm definitely willing to move this dude down. In fact, I already moved him down quite a bit. Like, he was up around 12 for me for a minute until I really started looking at this and going, wait, this guy's just basically a slap hitter. Like,
a slap hitter with no speed.
Right. Yeah. Other guys that only had one, I had David Fletcher at 27, Colton Wong at 23, Luis Arraez at 24, and Joey Wendell at 28. None of you got, and Kike Hernandez showed up for Jason at 18. So those guys,
yeah,
all just one shot. You want Kike? Go ahead and talk about Kike for me.
Yeah, that's something I that I wanted to talk about, because like, and he really like opened my eyes during the playoffs this year. But he's like, he had a good year, like 20 home runs and only 110 strikeouts. Like, yeah, the 250 average isn't great, but like 35 doubles, sits on top of a quality lineup in Boston, has multiple eligibility, second shortstop and center field. Like, this is a guy that, I could see as a bench piece plus. Like, I can see him, being drafted as a utility guy. I think he's being undersold.
Yeah, the multi-position eligibility is pretty nice. Having 20 homers this late as well is pretty good. I'm willing to move him up. I have him at 31 right, or no, yeah, it is that guy. I have him at 31 right now. I actually thought it was Cesar Hernandez that I had there, but it's Kike. So I'm willing to bump him up. He's got to go ahead of Nick Solak for me, who I have at 30. I think he's got to go ahead of Jeff McNeil, who I have at 29. Wendell's 28. Fletcher's 27. Gene Segura at 26. Nikki Lopez at 25. Luis Arraez at 24. Colton Wong at 23. And then it's Chris Taylor. Is that the spot?
Yeah, I have Chris Taylor right above Kike Hernandez.
Mike Haber?
Kike?
Kike or Chris Taylor?
I'd say Chris Taylor.
Okay. And that's where he's going to live. He's going to live at 23 now. Cool. All right. It is time for some sleepers, some breakouts, some busts, and some comebacks. All right, we're gonna discuss these guys. Let's start with our sleeper. Who's a guy at the bottom or off of your list that you think could return even middle of this pack value? Jason, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a guy that Mike mentioned. It's Nick Madrigal. He's not on my list, the top 25, but it's because he's coming off of a knee injury. I don't know how that's gonna affect his base running, but and he hasn't really put together obviously anywhere close to a full season. So but the potential is there, the talent's there. So I think this guy, he's playing with the Cubs. The Cubs are gonna suck, but he's gonna play as long as he's healthy. He's gonna play every day, which he probably wasn't gonna get everyday playing time with the White Sox. So that's probably a good thing for him. I just want to see it, but I think he has the potential to really put up some good numbers this year.
So he's now on the Cubs. He got traded at the end of the year. I don't know how good the Cubs are going to be realistically. I don't think they're going to be a very good team anyway. But if he's sitting at the top of the lineup, and like Nico Hoerner is going to be there too, that's another dude that you could see as a sleeper at this position. Mike Haber, who is your sleeper at second base?
My sleeper at second base is the Rockies player that we haven't spoken about. It's Brendan Rodgers.
Oh, I was wondering if you were going to go Garrett Hampson. I'm like,
no.
I know you like speed, but come on, dude.
Yeah. No. I'm going to go Brendan Rodgers. I love what he did in the second half of last year. He only played half a season. Still racked up some nice power numbers, 15 homers, 51 RBIs. He had a 284 average and a 328 on base. 49 runs scored and 21 doubles. And that, like I said, is in 387 at bats. So this guy in his second year, in a full year, I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. Maybe even like 25 homers, 75 RBIs. So if he hits 280, like you'll take that low in the draft any day.
I think you might be onto something here. The dude played. Go ahead, Jason.
He is a guy that you asked about McMahon. He is a guy that they're raving about here. Brendan Rodgers. They are excited for this guy. Yeah.
Okay. And I was gonna say, Mike, I think you're onto something here. The dude played 51 games in Coors and 51 games outside of Coors.
Mm-hmm.
In Coors, 280 batting average, 319 on base percentage, 3 homers, and 21 RBIs. Away from Coors, 289 batting average, 337 on base, 12 homers, and 30 RBIs. I think you're onto something here, that this dude can actually hit outside of Coors, and once he figures out how to hit in Coors, he'll be great.
Yeah.
I think you're onto something there.
Yeah.
My sleeper here, all right, so this is... When you think about sleepers and a guy that can pay you a whole ton, and you can get him in like the last round, that literally is Keston Hiura right now, right? Like, he gave you nothing this year and was drafted in like the 4th or 5th round of the bigs.
Yeah.
He's not going inside the top 20. I doubt he's going inside the top 25 rounds. He was awful. But he was really good at AAA. Like, he was really, really good at AAA. If he could just figure it out, the dude's got a real bat. Looking at his minor league numbers this past year in 2021 at Nashville, 256 batting average, 8 homers, 24 RBIs in 51 games. It's not bad. It's not bad. And he had a 374 on base percentage. Look, I don't know if the guy's going to be worth anything, but if I'm taking a last round flyer, I'm at least going to take the guy that last year we took in the 4th or 5th round.
Yeah. Okay.
My question is, where does he play? You got Colton Wong entrenched at second. You got Rowdy Tellez at first. Is he going in the outfield?
Well, the NL's getting the DH, and Rowdy Tellez is a hell of a lot better at DH than he is at first base.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Who's the breakout? A guy on the list toward the bottom that can be in the top 5 next year. Jason, who you got?
I'm gonna go with Ryan McMahon here.
Okay.
I think, because again, now he's gonna be the guy. Trevor Story's gone, Arenado's gone, Blackman's still there, but he's kind of getting washed up a little bit. But I think if McMahon can go ahead and have a good 30-35 home run season, like that's, to me, that'd be a nice breakout for him, being the guy in Coors. So I'm gonna go with Ryan McMahon for my breakout.
All I would say is that he needs to learn how to hit outside of Coors, and yeah, I think you're onto something. Mike Haber, who is your breakout for 2022?
All right, you guys may hate this pick, but he is very low on my list. He's actually ranked 23rd for me, but I'm gonna go with Gleyber Torres.
Oh,
So Joe, you hate this,
I don't even
but
have him in the top 35, bro.
2019 numbers. I know 2019, 38 homers, 90 RBIs, 5 steals. This
Yeah,
is a
but like
guy.
15 of those homers were off the fucking Orioles.
Yeah, they were. They were off. um, but can I see Gleyber Torres bouncing back and have hitting 25 to 30 homers with 14 or 15 steals? Yes. And 75, 80 RBIs. I could see it. And I could see him climbing up to that 270 average again. He hit 259 this year. Everyone's talking about 2021 as like he was atrocious. He didn't do anything. Yeah, he had a down year, but like he had 259. He got on base, 331 on base percentage. He stole 14 bases, which was a career high. He's playing aggressive now. He's got something to fight for this year.
All right. Well, look, I picked the dude up toward the end of the season. I was hoping he was going to have a decent like last 6 weeks or something. I don't know, man. I don't know that this is who he showed you in 2019. He certainly has done nothing of note in the last 2 calendar years to say that he was anything like the all-star we saw in 2019.
Yeah.
Who's my breakout? I don't know. Oh, wait. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I mean, I could point at Jazz Chisholm and tell you that I think that, but I think you guys already know that, so I'm not going to go there. I'll say that my breakout is a guy that I have to see that he's going to have a clear path to playing time, but if Gavin Lux is going to be the second baseman of the Dodgers and they have let Chris Taylor walk and they've let Corey Seager walk and they believe in this kid, then I'm going to believe in them too because the Dodgers like basically do nothing wrong anymore. So give me Gavin Lux to be a breakout in 2022. That brings us to the other side of the coin. Who's the bust? Who's the guy you do not want on your team in any circumstances and you want no part of? Jason, start with you again.
Yeah. I think my bust for this position, and there's a few of them that I was going back and forth with, but I think Ozzy Albies is not.
Dude, them's fighting words from a Mets fan.
Yeah, I think Ozzy Albies is gonna end up being not what everybody's expecting. I'm looking at like his strikeout rate, like excluding 2020, his strikeout rate keeps going up, and his walk rate is going down. Like his strikeouts are going up in general. Like I just feel like he's riding a high from 2021, and everybody's going, "Oh, this guy is power steal combination." But like, I don't know. I can see this guy just really falling off a cliff. So I'm not totally sold on Ozzy Albies. I can see him having a bad season.
All righty, Jason is out on Ozzy Albies. Mike, who are you out on?
You could probably guess this. So I think that people are going to pay pretty high for Brandon Lau this year, expecting him to match his numbers, and I'm gonna place a bet right now that he hits under 220, under 220 and 222. Okay. And I mean, sure, he can have the power numbers. I don't want to bet on that, but I'm not going to bet on him going as where he's being valued right now. I think he's going to be drafted way too high, and I'm not going to be the person to do it.
Under a 220 batting average in 2022, according to Mike Haber for Brandon Lau. Look, my bust, I think it's Whit Merrifield, guys. I really, really do. I think the speed numbers will fall off a cliff at some point. If it's not 2022, it's only a matter of time. This guy's going to age like Charlie Blackmon. He's going to have a decent batting average and a decent on-base percentage, but realistically, once the speed goes, he's going to lose a whole lot of value, and I'm just not going to sign up for that. Especially a dude who's like, what is he, 32 at this point, or 33? Like, he's getting up there. Yeah, he's gonna be 33 by the time the season starts. I'm just not thinking that this is going to age as well for fantasy as it will in real life baseball players. So I'm out on Whit. And that leaves one more, the new category here brought to us by Mike Haber, the comeback of the year. So who had a bad year or was injured in 2021 that'll come back and have a great year in 2022? Jason.
I think I'm going to go with the guy that I think we're all kind of forgetting about, and he does have second base eligibility. I don't know if that's where he's going to play in 2022. Nick Senzel of the Cincinnati Reds. I've kind of been high on him a couple of seasons, and he's burned me with his injuries. So I get that, but the upside is so much there. Like especially now, like that Castellanos is gone. Like so, even if they want to put him back in the outfield, they can. They can put him in the infield. He can play anywhere. He's 27, so he's going into his prime. If he can stay healthy, I think he can have a really good year.
Interesting choice from Jason Ashby of Nick Senzel. Mike, who's your comeback?
I'm torn between a couple guys, honestly. I was going to say Robinson Cano just to piss you guys off, but I'm not going to.
Another guy who didn't make my top 35.
Yeah. I'm torn between two guys, one being Cavan Biggio and one being Katel Marte. Katel Marte, like I said earlier, I think if you give this guy a full season, I think he's going to show up and land in the top 10 of second baseman. Cavan Biggio had probably one of the worst seasons that could not have been predicted. But does he come back and make a stand and get double digit steals and homers like he did the year before? It's possible in that lineup. So I'm kind of torn between the two.
I can respect both of those choices. Biggio's a pretty bold one here because we're kind of not seeing a whole lot out of him this year, but I don't quite know what the issue was because he was really good in 2020 and showed a lot of promise.
He was hurt all year.
Yeah, only played 79 games. I don't know. Maybe we see it. He could just be like the one busted prospect, right? Everybody has a busted prospect at some point. The Rockies seem to have just like endless supply of busted prospects. Sam Hilliard, David Dahl. Like, who was that first baseman that they had that like everybody was nutting over a couple of years ago? Oh, I can't remember his name either. But yeah, people were
it's gonna come to me, but no.
Rockies.
Is it Joshua Fuentes?
No, he's not on the team currently.
Oh.
Yeah, he was like, man, this is gonna bug me now. I have to find his name. This guy failing was the reason that they put Daniel Murphy to first base. Oh, why can't I remember this dude?
Was it Ben Paulson?
That's the dude.
Yeah,
Ben Paulson.
Remember him?
Yeah, no, he was supposed to be like this really great power hitting left-handed first baseman for the Rockies.
He was a third round draft pick in 2009.
Yeah, he was supposed to be like the next Todd Helton, and he sucked all of the ass. My comeback this year, look, I think if we taper expectations to what you're supposed to get from DJ LeMahieu, then you're gonna get DJ LeMahieu season. 23 is just fucking offensive to rank him there. So maybe 9's a little high, but you have to go with the track record here. Like he just had a bad year, and he'll come back next year and be good. Who else was hurt and could come back and do well? I don't know. Nico Horner missed a whole shitload of time. He's going to get every opportunity to succeed. The only other one I would say is Mookie Betts, right? Like it has to be Mookie Betts. Betts has to have a better year than he just did. So
what about our good friend Jeff McNeil?
What about Jeff McNeil?
Does he have a bounce back?
I don't know, man. I've looked at Jeff McNeil's numbers for a while now, and the comparison that I was making to like Paul O'Neill, because he was this fiery left-handed guy who like yelled all the time when he made it out, like that's cool, that's awesome, but at some point you actually have to hit like Paul O'Neill too, and maybe the league just figured him out.
Yeah,
I don't know. He's a decent option there, though. I wouldn't be surprised if he came back and hit 300, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he hit like 245 next year. So
right.
I don't know.
2 points real quick.
Go ahead.
Sorry, DJ was our number one consensus, all of us last year. Yes.
Yes, he was.
Okay.
He was the
I
number
ju-
one second baseman going into 2021 because,
just throwing that
by
out
the
there,
way,
Jason.
like he won the batting title last year in the AL with a 364 batting average. Like, okay, regression came and you hit 100 points worse.
Yeah. Point number 2 is Lourdes Gurriel does he no longer have second base eligibility?
He won't.
Yeah.
He won't.
Okay, because I got to take him off my list because I had him ranked pretty high actually.
I did see that. He played exactly 0 games at second base this year.
Perfect.
So he will no longer have that eligibility.
Excellent.
Also, I have to give some love to like Luis Ariz, who's like a really deep sleeper, who's probably gonna hit like 310 or 320 with no power, 0 power.
Adam Frazier.
He's Adam Frazier, but like he's Adam Frazier better.
But he's also Adam Frazier in a worse lineup. So.
But he's hitting in a better part of a bad lineup versus hitting at the bottom of a good lineup. Right? Like, take what you can.
Did you guys have Andy Ibanez on your list anywhere?
I didn't even know that was a human until I saw him on your list, and I was like, who in the all right, let's look up Andy Ibanez, like deep sleeper. Is he really going to be the second baseman of Texas?
Who else did I have? I
don't know. They could go and sign people. There's plenty of options. Like, let me see.
He was decent, right?
He was okay. I mean, he had an okay season in 76 games, 7 homers, 25 RBIs, no steals, 277 batting average, 321 on base. I'm just gonna look this up real quick and see what they say for the Rangers at second base. They're currently, as roster resource loads,
I'll also say
they're saying Nick Solak at second, Andy Ibanez at third.
Okay.
So
his minor league numbers were very similar to his major league numbers, but he hit 342 in AAA as opposed to 277 in the bigs. But everything else is pretty much the same.
It's a deep dude. It's a really, really deep guy. Willie Castro might be another dude on Detroit who, if he hits him, if they go out and sign some guys and they improve the way they did in 2021, could be another guy to look at. We could go on all day, keep picking dudes out of a hat and talking about them. I think it's about time we wrap, boys. I appreciate you being here with me. Jason, thanks for being here with us.
Joe, thanks for having me. It's always fun talking about baseball, and these rankings are going to be so fun this year. I can't wait to keep going.
Oh man, we're gonna keep doing this as often as we can. Mike Haber staying up real late with us out on the East Coast in your little girl's room. Thanks so much.
Hey, anytime. I'll come back here for the next show. Thanks for having me, and I really do mean it when I say that this show and you guys help bridge the gap between the baseball seasons and get me through the winter. So I thank you both for allowing me on this, and Ben as well.
Well, winter is coming, as they said on some terrible show that shit the bed in the final season. I hope to God we don't have somebody shit the bed this season, but we'll always have somebody finishing last because it's been real, it's been fun, and it's always real fun in the bigs. We'll see you guys next time.